to everyone who's joining us and joins us in the future. This is Glorie. She is incredible. So she's going to talk about her company, myceo, but I just want to say first, she's an entrepreneur, she's a coach, she's a mentor, a guide, and just so much else. I've known her for a few years now and have had the privilege to work with her, both with Volition, as she's been our pitch night, one of our pitch night panelists a few times, I think, as well as with Women in Tech World, the nonprofit that I'm on the executive team for. And Glorie is partnered with us at Women in Tech World and helps run our, or does run our mastermind program. So she is incredible and multifaceted. And I want to start with the fact that when I asked you what it is that you do, what is myceo, you said your first thing you wrote was, we love to create aha moments. So that's my teaser. And please do tell, what do you mean by that? What is it that you do?
Well, first off, thanks so much for having me, Mel. It's also great to see you. I'm glad to know that things are all going well with you in Spain and moving forward. I'm excited to be part of this and part of Volition and looking forward to the conversation. So I'll tell you a little bit what I do and then I'll answer the aha question.
Yeah.
So I'm the co-founder of myceo, which is a business coaching and consulting firm here in beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We, of course, are headquartered here, but we do work all over the world. And we work primarily with small and medium-sized business, helping them with an array of business scenarios, whether that's growth planning or strategic planning or sales, marketing and process or financial budgeting. We love to help businesses grow and succeed. We do corporate training, primarily in strategic planning and sales process and management. Those are obviously the things we love the most. And we also do facilitate masterminds, as you mentioned. One is locally for women in business, and the other is through our wonderful partnership with Women in Tech World. And we do facilitate masterminds for women in the tech sector, not only in Vancouver, but across Canada and globally as well. And that's an initiative that's growing. So that's really exciting. So with all of that, the aha moment piece is that what I've always found in life is that people really just sometimes need a guide to tap into their core strengths and their core abilities and their core confidence and their core worth. And those are the things that really help drive themselves and business forward.
Yeah. And
if you can help people, with breadcrumbs to get to that moment where they've come up with the answer, you've just helped them get there and they go, oh, I see, this is how I can do this. Yeah. That to me is very, very gratifying and why we do what we do.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that so much. And so I know that you deal with a lot of kind of the tough stuff then, like helping people through those aha moments. Sometimes that is a really difficult, or often is really difficult conversations to have. And I know in the masterminds, you dive into really difficult, tough stuff conversations. And as you know, as we all know, right now we're in a tough stuff kind of moment in the history of humankind and and all things kind, except for the of course the earth, which is happy right now without us.
Very happy, very happy.
Disrupting it.
Mother Nature can take a rest.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So in terms of what's going on right now, I know things are really day to day right now. So as like a quick kind of peek into the life of Glorie, I'd love to know, what does life in the world of Glorie look like today? And then we'll kind of get into the COVID.
Life today is actually in some ways very unchanged. I've been working from home for 4 years. So working from home is a very natural thing. Not going out for business meetings is not. That's been very different. I think that what we found, and you alluded to this, I think, when we were talking earlier about how time is very elusive and very like you'll say to somebody, I read this great article, and you can't remember if it was yesterday or last week because they all kind of blend in without that, sort of natural start and stop. So in many ways, life hasn't changed. But like everybody, I'm certainly, part of the ups and downs of what we're going through right now. There are days you wake up and you feel really innovative and creative, and here's how we're going to push forward, and I can drive, and you have all that energy. And there are days you wake up and sometimes it's just like, whoa, like there's so much here, a little, that's quite beyond our control to some degree. And so like, what do you do? Life is normal and not normal all at the same time. Yeah. I don't know if you're finding the same thing, but that's certainly for us.
This is like this is a what's the word I'm looking for? Essentially everyone I've talked to, this is what they're experiencing, and there's been these roller coasters, and conversations have shifted. Being Mental Health Awareness Week,
Yes.
there's a lot of conversations around mental health right now, and awareness being raised around the fatigue and the grief and anxiety and all these things. So it's just been a time. It's been a time, and I experienced the same thing. So that's kind of like the personal perspective for you and working from home. And same with me, having worked from home already for the last 2 years, didn't impact me in that way either. But I'm curious about if everything we've been going through, including social isolation, including the pending recession, COVID itself, and the crisis around that, has that impacted your business in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not in healthcare education or a grocery store, so I'm not at this point an essential service. Certainly from the perspective of our corporate business has come to obviously a complete halt, and understandably so. And we're working with our partners and the companies that we work with to give them as much runway and time as possible and still support them through this. Just because we're not necessarily delivering the courses doesn't mean we can't still be coaches and help teams move forward. So we're, offering ourselves up from that perspective. The small to medium business piece, our day-to-day coaching has been relatively consistent. There are some people out there just going bold and saying, you know what, this is a time to push forward and to do some things a little bit differently, maybe to market a little bit more. People who are re-looking at digital strategy, which is something else that we help with. So from that perspective, it's been, that's been less impacted. Our masterminds have all been online, so that kind of was a natural progression for sure. But like all of us, you are being cautious of how you move ahead. You want to be sensitive to everything that's going on. While it's impossible to ignore economic consequences and the economics realities of what we're going through, it's not only about economics this time. These are real, life and death scenarios.
Yeah.
And definitely there's some impact, and we're just going to keep moving forward and finding ways to deliver value to people and meet them where they're at. Right.
Right. And so what has been, I know I didn't prep you with this question, but have you had kind of any particular inconsistent, I know you can handle it. You're good. You're a problem solver. So have you kind of seen any patterns and consistent questions that have been coming into you? I'm curious, like with your clients.
I think there's a lot of talk around the new normal, which
which I know you love.
Talk about a little bit later.
Yeah,
maybe that's my soapbox topic.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit of we're doing a lot of crystal ball gazing, and it's informed. I mean, this isn't just people making things up. Yeah. Trying to figure out, what does that look like, and really what we're the way we're approaching it, which is the same approach we're giving to our clients, is let's divide this up almost into sections. We're in a period right now where we're sort of at the end of the beginning, and so there's things to do now. Your clients your customers, whoever it is that you work with, need some immediate solutions. They need some immediate help, some immediate relief. And then when things open up a little bit more, that's going to be another milestone that we're going to have to work with. And, and as that goes on, so I think it's very fluid. And so the question always, is what does that new normal look like? And like everybody else, your guess is as good as mine, but I do have some suggestions around how we can drive it versus it driving us. But that's the question that comes up the most often.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there's two things you said right there that interested me. You said you have suggestions, and we always want to hear suggestions. And I mean, you're so used to helping people with those immediate tactical elements. So, but there's also the new normal piece. So I know. No, let's dive into what are your suggestions off the top of your head?
Well, here's one of the things. There's going to be certain parameters and challenges within what we're calling the new normal, and that I'm not a huge fan of that term, but it's a good one to use for context. That there are going to be certain, there's going to be a box around it. We understand that we're in the middle of a health crisis. We don't have a vaccine for it. We don't know when international travel is coming. All of those things are baked into the scenario that we're dealing with that we don't have control over. What we do have control over is what we do with the opportunities that these things present. And when I say that, I'm not saying being an opportunist in the middle of a pandemic by going to buy hand sanitizer and selling it for $50 a bottle on eBay. I'm saying, hey, let's look at our customers and our clients and potentially our world, which is more my soapbox point, and say, how can we serve the needs of these people better or differently? What do they need today that they are going to need differently in 3 months from now and maybe 6 months from now? And within that allows us, I mean, I think a lot of us, the question around the new normal is about control. We're human. We all want to control. We want to see the whole path, and we can't right now. So that new normal question keeps coming up because we're grasping at the control piece.
Right.
And what I look at it and say, hey, you know what if I can do something a little bit differently within this? What if I can create a new opportunity, a new path, a new product, a new service? There's so many things. We've seen a lot of the cracks in society. Yeah. What if I can help fix those? And so I think it's just a little bit of looking at the world with the new lens, but not at a place of, oh, that's really awful because we can't go back, but from a point of, wow, what can we do differently as we move forward? And I get that's a huge leap. We're all really emotionally exhausted, and I get that. But I think that's the way we start to move past this.
Yeah, I really love that because today I was talking about anxiety on my channel and how I was learning about anxiety more and about how loss of control is what often causes anxiety. And so therefore, that's why it's creating so much anxiety and exacerbating so much anxiety in the world today with everything that we're going through collectively. Sure. And I think it's so interesting. Do you have any tips for how people can shift that mindset and even like get into the mindset of I can control versus I can't control? Is there anything that you would suggest if someone were to ask you about that?
Yeah, one of the things I've been talking a lot about with people, I've been doing a lot of mentoring as well, and a lot of people just reaching out for coaching and sounding board, and we're so open to that. Yeah. Look at ways that you can horizontally expand your business. That's really the things that I talk about. I think that it's going to be very hard to go deep into a vertical right now. Right. But I do think that there are strategic partnerships out there that you may look at that may not be something you might have considered in the past, but maybe something interesting now. And I think that there's ways where you can, again, look at some of the needs right now. And maybe it's not your current business, but maybe it's a skill set that you bring from a previous time that you can apply now. And the best example I give that is I work with a government program that works with entrepreneurs with disabilities through the Community Futures program. And what's really cool, so I have one of the women that I work with is a professional organizer. And of course, there's not much of that going on in the moment. You can't go into people's homes. But what's really cool is she has an interior design background, which a lot of professional organizers don't. So what she's decided to do is to create a program to teach professional organizers the best ways to draw out space, because that's an important part of what they do. And a lot of them don't have the skill of being able to figure out, well, here's how I reorganize. Here's the best way to fit a cabinet. Here's, they don't necessarily have that. So she's going now, instead of to the end user, she's going to her community and saying, hey, I have a skill I can offer you that's going to help you down the road. Yeah. And to me, those are the kinds of sort of just a little bit different ways that we can approach everything. And it's sometimes they're, Melanie, they're often small degree shifts. It's not, they're not huge things, but just small degrees where we can look at things just a little bit differently. And that is how we take back some of that control piece.
Right. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much. I wanted to pause to say hello to everyone who's joined us.
Hi, everybody.
Whether it's live right now or you're joining us later, say hello and let us know if you have any questions for Glorie. She is a wealth of information and, as I said, a problem solver. So please do feel free to get your questions out. And if you send in questions after this is live, then I'll make sure to get them to Glorie and get some responses for you. So thanks everyone for joining us. So we've talked about so many incredible things so far, and I know you have a soapbox topic that you are excited to talk about too. I wanted to ask, what did I want to ask you? I'm looking at all these questions. They're all very exciting. Okay, so I am going to dig into the new normal conversation because I know,
Sure.
like we've already been talking about this a little bit, and you talked to a crystal ball and you're looking forward for the next 3 months. I'd be curious about. I know you aren't a fan of the new normal terminology. So what is that about? So can you dive into that element, please, for us?
Sure. So, if you go back and look in history at different times, whether it's been recession or even the Spanish flu back in the early 1900s, which was, I think, the closest to what we're going through. I'm not an expert on this, but I think so. But if you look at other recessionary times, post 9/11, so 2001 to 2003, the debt crisis, 2008, 2009. And if you go back and you look at all of those scenarios just from a historical perspective, there's an awful lot of people who are saying, okay, it's going to, when it comes back, it's a U-shaped curve, it's a V-shaped curve, it's a upside down curve, it's a hockey stick. Here's what people are going to do. Certainly post 9/11, people weren't going to travel, people weren't going to go on planes anymore. There's a lot of things that we talk about that we, again, to get control of it, is we say here, we surmise what's going to come up. We make assumptions, and the assumptions are often based on very good information and data and all of those things, and that's all really important. The reality is we really don't know. So I'm the kind of person that likes to be informed. I don't want to be inundated, but I like to be informed. So I like to read as much as I possibly can and then throw it into a big bag and shake it up for myself and say, okay, I'm going to pull this from here and this from here and this from here, because the reality is I don't think anybody has the exact right answer.
Right.
And so we're already in the new normal. That's the other piece. Like, we're already in it. We're not waiting for it. We're already there. We've been in it for, I don't know if it's for 60, 80, 100 days. I'm not sure, but we're in it now. So we kind of have a sense of what this is going to be like. Yes, there will be other restrictions lifted. And yes, at some point we may be able to, hug our friends or travel to visit family across our country, or, those kinds of things. So we're already there. So we've got some of the parameters already. Yeah. So let's try and, again, sort of force how it looks instead of just necessarily accepting how it looks.
Right. Create your own narrative, kind of.
Yeah, as much as you can. And I understand sometimes that's a big thing to ask people right now. And I'm fully aware of that. I'm just, this isn't about positive thinking. This is more about saying, hey, you know what, here's where we are and we're going to be here for a while. So how do we move forward?
Absolutely. No, I think that's great. And I think it's not a bad thing either to be positive and have the positive thinking out there. That's not a bad thing either. And I appreciate it.
Right.
A lot.
Yeah, absolutely not.
So I think being positive doesn't mean that you're being unrealistic. I think that's the thing that we kind of don't think about. You can be positive in this time while still having shit days. Pardon my French.
Yeah. And thanks for putting that clarification in there, because sometimes people, it's not about looking through rose-colored glasses. It's about saying, hey, I do have a modicum of control here. How can I use it and exercise it in a way that's helpful to either my community, my business, or my friends? Yeah.
And you're empowering that element of control, which I think is really important right now. So we did have a question come in, so I'm going to pass that over to you. So that was from Z, and she said, what are some common pivots that you've seen businesses do, as in which industries or types of businesses and verticals, etc.?
Well, I will go back to the example I've already talked about, which is my professional organizer person with the interior design background now teaching, ways to draw rooms. I've seen some incredible things within the fitness industry, which I think has been very good. I know within a week, I'm a spin studio person. Within a week of all of this happening, my spin studio sent out an email saying that they were now renting the bikes out. If you wanted to rent a bike and shoes, they would, and delivery to your home. And it was, I think, $200 a month. I don't remember the detail piece, but I thought, wow, that's really cool. They know that, you're not going to be able to come in. They've got this equipment sitting there. Here's a way to use it. I read an incredible article the other day about a gentleman who sells seeds, some kind of seeds for planting. And he was really concerned that he wasn't going to be able to get these out to distributors. There was all kinds of supply chain issues. And he ended up partnering, if you can believe, this is in the States. He ended up partnering with a local business that had 3 or 4 little coffee locations, the coffee shops,
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
they were
Mm-hmm.
actually, that they were, and what he did, and they had parking lots. So what he was doing was selling the seeds in the parking lot of this coffee shop, and they co-branded this. They actually marketed it together. And so here it is, you have someone who sells planting
Mm-hmm.
seeds in a coffee
Mm-hmm.
shop, which seemed like very, non-natural bedfellows, and yet they found an opportunity where they can both bring value to each other. Those are the types of things I think that we can do right now. It's that innovative, creative thing about how we can move forward.
Yeah, yeah. So Ali's saying it's so interesting to hear how people have pivoted, and it sounds like throughout what I'm hearing throughout this kind of train of thought from the last 30 minutes is also like leaning into whether it was like equipment that you had, skills or abilities or space or partnerships that you maybe have. Those are all things that you can look at how to apply it to our day, like what our day looks like today and what our world looks like today.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to say new normal. So we can apply it to
it's
current
okay.
reality. No, it's okay.
Yeah,
I
just be
hear your voice
curious.
every time I see that. Be curious. Oh, I love curiosity. Yes, be curious.
Yeah, so
I love that
just
so
be
much.
curious. Have conversations around people and say, hey, how could we work together? Is there a way that we could work together? And maybe there's not, but that's okay too, right? It doesn't cost to have a conversation. I think that your volition's pitch line. You never know what's going to come from a conversation, and I use that a lot. I unabashedly steal that, and I always give you guys credit.
It's lended.
I borrow it, but I think it's incredibly relevant right now.
Yeah, and people are really willing to have those conversations right now, being aware of Zoom fatigue and all the things, but still people are really incredible. Sure. So there's been, Ali's sharing a list of different businesses here and how they pivoted. So she shared a link in the comments. So anyone wants to check that out. And I'm seeing Paul here is saying, saw a great one yesterday about a Yaletown barber selling appointments online where he'll work and teach you live through video on how to cut someone's hair. Would have been useful for me. A couple of weeks ago, my husband cut my hair. I will not show you the back of it. Clippers were involved with too short of a whatever the word is. Okay, so thank you so much. We have, I think, 5 or so minutes left. So, and there's so much to talk about, but I would love to know, I think we've already talked a lot about kind of tips for small businesses, and you've really provided a lot of value there, so I appreciate that. I'd love to know if you have a particular ask at this time and how we can help you amplify that here and beyond. So do you have an ask right now? What is your ask?
Thank
right
you.
Now, actually,
it's so funny when I read that question. I was thinking to myself, wow, what you're trying to do is you're trying to come up with the answers, yourself, and to provide service and to not really ask. So I was like, okay, well, do I or don't I? It's a little bit of that, selling versus, being very conscious of what's going on. From our perspective, we are launching a few really cool new programs in the month of May. One is going to be called the Sales Hat Series, which is all about selling in the new normal. And with that one, we're partnering with Laura Sakurikoff and her company, Sea Change Learning. So we're going to combine sales process, sales training, sales management with soft skills that we prefer to call power skills. Again, sort of not necessarily a likely combination pre-COVID, but Laura and I talked, well, this would be an interesting thing to combine it. People are going to have to change their pitches, change their selling messages, tone, etc. So we thought that would be a good way. So we're going to be launching that. We have a free webinar coming up on May the 21st, just to launch the program and let people know more about it. We'll be having one for solopreneurs, one for entrepreneurs, etc. We're doing another event called, I think it's called Reinvent, Reimagine, Reemerge. Which is really going to be about, going back to your why, value proposition, looking at those types of things. And we're also doing a one that we're really excited about. It's called A Course and a Coach. And what we're doing is we're offering up some courses that we have already recorded on SEO, website best practices, and business planning, all of which we feel are 3 important things right now for people. They can go and they can take the course. And then they will get time with a coach afterwards, because sometimes the issue with education is the application piece gets lost. So we want to help with that. So check out those programs. Absolutely follow us on, LinkedIn and Instagram, but reach out. Reach out if you have questions or looking for a sounding board. We're doing a lot of mentoring as we've talked about through Women in Tech World and through our own channels. And we're just happy to be a resource for people right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, make sure to send us the link and we will get it out on our channels as well.
Thank you.
You're bringing intense value, not thinking about selling as an icky word, selling even at this time, but more so of that bringing value. And that's, people are already saying here, I can't wait for this. You're perfect duo for this topic stream. People want this and it's really needed right now. So really excited for that.
Thanks.
So what is the best place for people to get a hold of you?
LinkedIn is a great place to find me. Yes, I did. Okay. The best ways to reach me, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So LinkedIn is great. You could also reach out to us at info@myceo.ca. You can also reach out to me directly. So Glorie, Glorie, at myceo.ca. And any one of those, you can find either myself or my partner, Betty, and we'll be happy to help.
Cool. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up with a final question. As you know, it is Mental Health Awareness Week, and this is a really important topic to me. Something that really helps me with my own anxiety, with my own grief, and all the things has been a list I created a few months ago called my Joy List that my partner is also very aware of, and he helps me. He knows my symptoms of when anxiety is coming up and helps remind me of my Joy List. So I'd love to know, at this point in time, what is one thing that brings you joy?
Oh, that's such a lovely question. Going for walks in the forest brings me joy. Being outside, being in nature where it's a little bit quieter, and you have a lot of time and space to think. That gives me immense joy. I go there and it's sort of like all of this kind of fades away, and just walking and just hearing nothing but your footsteps is something that brings me immense joy right now.
I love that. Thank you. That was mine as well. And I can go outside again. So it's been wonderful. Yay.
Yeah.
Is there any final thoughts that you would like to contribute here today?
No, not at all. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always so happy to partner with Volition on anything. It's great to chat with you live since you're so far away. And just, I just want to say to everybody, remember to breathe, especially during, we're talking about Mental Health Week, but breathe. Remember self-care. Know that, and I don't want to be cliche around this, but this too will pass. We will find a way through this, and all of us, and just keep supporting another. And the most important thing is just be kind, because we're all going through all kinds of things. So just be kind to everybody, because you don't know what it is they've gone through in that day.
Yeah, just be kind. I love it. Thank you so much, Glorie. We're so happy to have had her on here today.
Appreciate it.
And
Thank you.
I will talk to you soon. And everyone for joining us. Make sure to read hello, ask your questions. And we really appreciate everyone being here to support us as well. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day.
Thanks for having me.
And I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Take care. Bye.